Okay, yesterday we were going through the get. Exactly, we had a machlokus between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. The Chacham said you only had to say Ariyat Muteres L'Chalodam. Rabbi Yehuda was the opinion you had to say V'dein the Havilechim Minoi Sefer Tachrichin V'geres Shvukin V'get Peturin V'mahach L'Snasol Geret Titzvayon. And then we have Rava. Rava said in this get Pata Tarchigas Punasa and Sisa. The Habis and Sisam and Kodem, no, you were a woman, my wife from before, Miyomi did not Olam, from this day and onwards. So Olam means forever. Now, and the Gemara, yes, it doesn't say Vidon, it says it didn't say a lot of other things also. That's what we're up to. Okay, we're so up to the bottom line on Pei Hey Ame base. Miyuma Dinon, when it says from this day, in other words, from this day, like Rabbi Yossi, it would be unnecessary to go ahead and say from this day, because Rabbi Yossi is of the opinion the Zman of the Shtar is Machiach Alav, right? We said that even Rabbi Yossi would have to say Mi'achshav, because you look at the Zman of the Shtar, you wouldn't have to say even Mi'achshav, right? Because we say that Zman of the Shtar Machiach Alav. So when it says Miyom Denon, from this day forward, obviously you have to say the day. It's not enough to go ahead and expect this man to do the job. Ul Olam. So again, Mav's lashon of miyomi dinan ul olam and means and further. I'm looking at the get. We have it right over here, right on the third line from the bottom. Yeah, from yesterday. Of course, I have to do this to get it up on the screen. Okay. So proud of myself. I'm really getting good at this. I could have not done this in the past. Okay. So on the get, on the so it says over here, Minyoy Medinon, from this day, this lashon of Rava, ul olam, and forever, right? So this day, as opposed to Zman Shtar, and then ul olam, right? What does the olam come to go ahead and exclude? Okay, what does that come to exclude? The word the olam, what is that coming to exclude? So it says the Gemara, I'll tell you what. Amid Aleph, lafuke midiboy mine, Rava mirav Nachman, as opposed to what the boy mine Rava Yasser of Nachman. Nama hayomi at ishti ulamacha at ishti. Today you're not my wife, and tomorrow you'll be my wife. Today you're not my wife, tomorrow you'll be my wife. We had that Shiloh, whether it was silent like Rabbi Eliezer, silent like the Chachamim, and we said, Kivin she paska. Once you stop, you stop. In other words, once you stop being a wife, there's no backseas. You're not going back. So when it says la'olam means that la'fuke, that case where you'd say you could come back. No, you get la'olam, it's forever. There's no backseas, right? So it's opposed to that case. Gufa shall get shichro. We said the gufa of get shichro. Again, we know that there's a concept of freeing a woman who was a shivcha or a man that is an eved. How do you get rid of him? You say to get gufa shall get shichro. Hariat bas chayrin, hariat la'atzmech. You are bas chayrin or at la'atzmech. It's basically you are free. So we're freeing you. Now the Gemara now is going to bring in a lashon that is used when you sell a slave, when they in the times of slavery, when they would sell them. So Iskim Rabbi Yehuda b'shtar zvini da'avdei avda dinon ar eved mutztak la'avdoi. He is set in his avdos. In other words, there's no question about him. There's no question about his mechira. He is set as an eved. Upote v'ota min cherusei, and he is separate from all freedom. In other words, there's no freedom with him whatsoever. Umin alule, any claim on him. Umin arure, or any demands. Malko. So you don't have to worry about that. The king is going to, he's given over to the king unequivocally, covering every base that might arise of of many complaints. He's covering the bases to ensure that the sale is a good sale. Urishum de inshi lo is aloihi. And he has like a brand. Seems they used to, I don't know if it's a brand, a roishim, a siman, if they would brand the eved, but there was a siman on the eved that this is an eved. Umenuki mikol mum, he's free from any mum. In other words, any mum that he's not a highwayman, Rashi says, He's not somebody that you would know that he carries, does some dastardly deeds. And from any boils that arise, atitzar is a lotion of 2 years. Chadas, whether it's new, va'atik, whether it's old. It seemed that these boils would come back within 2 years. Huh?
I think a warranty. Two years and
This ever
20,000
comes
miles.
with a warranty. 2 years and 24,000 miles, whichever comes first.
But only on the boils, nothing else.
No, 2 years. 2 years. Yeah, it's Lashon. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says, Umin shchin nafigat titzar, when we call shchin shiyatze befun of at shtei shonim. Rashi says till 2 years, Lenny, 2 years. The moyes lam kame. It's disgusting to have a guy with these boils serving him. So you don't have to worry. In other words, if within 2 years, this is a money back guarantee. Within 2 years, if he shows up with these boils, you can go ahead and be mevatel the mechira. My asvase, what's the cure for boils? So I'm Rabbi ginvera, which is ginger. Ginger, not baker. Martacha. Martacha is silver fillings, if that we cut silver. The kavrisa is sulfur. The chola de chamra and wine vinegar. Umashka de zesa and olive oil. And vinatva chivra and white neft. Mix it all together. The shaifale begatva the absa, and go ahead and rub it on with the feather of a goose. And that seems to go ahead and take care of a lot of that. Okay, next Mishnah. We met this earlier in the Masechta, and Daf Gimel Amid Beis. There are Gitin that that are really not a get completely at all. It's not a good get at all. And if you give it, the woman is not divorced. If the woman would marry based upon this get, have children, the children would be mamzerim. This Gitin that are us the Rabbanon, that you shouldn't marry with in the first place. But if you get married, then it's okay. Then we say there's Gitin that are not even a get, but it's kind of a hybrid. It's a shmekfun get. In other words, it has the reich get, and therefore you won't be divorced vis-a-vis the rest of the world, but you won't be able to marry a kohen. So under discussion over here are 3 Gitin that you shouldn't give, but if you give, the woman gets married, the child, it would be okay. Okay, it would be okay. Now, shloisha Gitin psulin, the apostle, the nisas havlad kosher. And if she marries someone else, the child from the second marriage would not be a mamzer, it would be a child that's kosher. Even so, in other words, don't get married with these Gitin, but if you do, now, kosev b'ksav yadai, ve'enel of Adam. It's written with his own handwriting, but there's no Adam on it. Now, there's a big problem exactly who is this Tana. I'll explain to you why. And guys, this is one of the tenets of Masechta Gitin is the machlokes between Reb Meir and Reb Elazar. What makes the creases? Like Reb Meir, it's Eidei Chasima Karti. It's the Edom that's signed. Like Reb Elazar, it's Eidei Mesira Karti. That's my first base of Gitin. So if this is, we're going to see if this is Reb Elazar, it's afil lechatchila. It's good. We had this in Daf Gimel. In other words, you would be able to get married this lechatchila. It wouldn't be a kasha that you should puzzle. It's not puzzle. Why? Because Eidei Mesira Karti, and it's not a problem. So you'd say, therefore, who is it? It's Rabbi Meir. But what? How could it be Rabbi Meir? It says Kosem Ksav Yadei ve'enel of Edim. If there's Eidei Chasima, how could it be Rabbi Meir? So the Rishonim have a problem figuring out who exactly is this person. Who exactly is this person? Now, Tosfos seems to say that it's Rabbi Meir. It could be Tosfos wants to come and say it's Rabbi Meir. Now, this is not a Tosfos that I would have done earlier in the Masechta, but at this point in time, just to get under somebody's skin, let's go back to Daf Gimel Amid Beis. Let's do a Tosfos from way back when. Shloisha Gitin Pesulim. Daf Gimel Amid Beis. Iked Demukri Perik Basra Hachmas Nisa Reb Meir. There are those who want to say that this Mishnah that we're quoting is Reb Meir. In other words, however, Afagav Disley Reb Meir, Kolam Mishanim Mapeya, Shetabacham Gitin Avlad Mamzer. Reb Meir is of the opinion anyone who changes an iota from what the Chachamim when talking get the get's not a good get in the child's a mamzer, and these are kasha b'diavad. The Rabbeinu Tam, the hachainu taima, the avad kasha. In other words, that gufa is the din. In other words, gufa, the matbeya, meaning the mint that they minted, is that this get, if it has 8, it was written by the what? By the Baal, it's okay. In other words, this is the matbeya. The afgad remeya sava the ksav the kasav hainu v'chasam. When it says the kasav yadoi, it means v'chasam yadoi. The kamachim kasha havla b'ksav yadoi ve'in alavedim. The kimin she'abal atzmai kasav ein lecha chasima gedoy lemizu. Okay, so now that seems to be the way Tosfos is learning, and really the Gemara is fetching it in. If you don't have any Adam signed in the star, how in the world can it be a good get, like Rameya? So what are you saying? Since it's Ksav Yadai, since it's his handwriting, it's Kamei Adam Dami. In other words, that Kufa is the Adis, which is it's a Chiddush. It's a Chiddush Nifla, guys. In other words, other Rishonim are not agreeing. Tosfos fetches it in because the Gemara kind of says it. But I just want to make you aware of the problem with this girsa. Like Rebbe Laza, it's kasha lechatchila. You don't need Adam written there. Like Rameya, you should need Adam written there. So how could it be b'diavad kasha? Says Mark Ksav Yadai, maybe says Tosfos what Ksav Yadai is equal to Adam. Okay, that would be a mahalach. That would be a mahalach. Okay, back on Peivav Amid Aleph. So shlesh again psulim this of like kasha the first one. Kasav Ksav Yadav ve'en alav Adam. Yesh lav Adam, you have Adam, ve'en by Zman. It doesn't have Zman. Now we had early in the Masechta, you don't have Zman. What are we worried about? We're worried about, let's say, if your niece, you marry your niece, and she'll go ahead and be a Neshes Ish. She'll have relations when she's Neshes Ish, and you'll say no, that it happened before, but she was a Pnuya. Yesh b'zman ve'en by Eid Echad. And the third one is, so the first one is Ksav Yadai and no Adam. The second one, there's Adam, not a Zman. Third one, there's a Zman, but there's only one Aid. Ariel Shleish getting Psulim, Nisas of Vlad Kasha. Reb Elazar, change the gears. It's not Reb Eliezer, guys. It's Reb Elazar. Reb Elazar, Aimer, Afa Pisha Ein Love Adim, El Shnasna Ve'Adim Kasha. Not only that, but Goyim Nechasim Mishubadim. You can go ahead and collect this with a kashtar. You can collect from what? From a property with a lien on it. The only reason they sign on a get in case they die and an era comes up, you should have Adam. But what makes the creases is Adam Asira. The word Adam Asira may not be there, and therefore the era will take place. Therefore, we have Edi Chasima. So he disagrees with the whole, seemingly the whole first part of the Mishnah. All three cases, like him, would be okay because Adam Asira Karti. Okay, so now Visu Leka, Fredrik Marakasha. You only have 3. In other words, guys, these are 3 Dirabanans. And all these, what's the chiddush over here? That if you do get married, it's a good get, and the vlad therefore will be kasha. Good. So it could get yashan. Now, what was the get yashan? Right, that was a guy. He writes a get, and then he stays with his wife in an inn. Right, he stays with his wife in his inn, and then he gives it. We said that wouldn't be a good get. According to Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai says it would be. Beis Hillel says not. So l'chayra, that also is a get that if you give, it's okay. So mechasam loy seitzei. Over there, loy seitzei, hacha teitzei. Over there, if you use the get yashan, she stays together with him. Hacha, get what we said. The child is not a mamzer. The child is not a mamzer. The vlad is kasha, but you can't stay together. Here l'chayra teitzei, you would have to leave. So you know why we said those 3 cases? Because all we wanted to go ahead and focus on is the fact that the child's not a mamzer from the second marriage, but you would not be able to stay in the second marriage. And why wasn't get yashan included? Because the get yashan, in fact, you could stay in the second marriage. So therefore, it's different than the other 3. It's not universal that everyone says these 3 Gitin that she has to leave. There's an opinion she stays. So like the opinion she stays, there's no difference between that and the get yashan. So you should go ahead and include the get yashan as well. So hasam tinasi lechatchila. Over there, you can get married lechatchila with a get yashan. You know, hacha di'evet. Over it's di'evet. Get yashan. If you use lechatchila, we said there was an opinion that it was okay, and like that opinion, since you can go ahead and get lechatchila, get married, then it's not similar to over here. Okay, so that's the difference in here and a get yashan. Well, it could get kereach. Okay, now what's a get kireach? It's a bald get. What does that mean? That they would go ahead and make kahanim have gitin. They were called a get makusha. They would go ahead and sew it up, and they would fold it up, and on each fold you'd have an Edom sign. In other words, they want to go ahead and lengthen the time of making the get to ensure that the kohen calms down. If you're missing one of the lines, we said it's a get puzzle. So l'chayra, why wasn't that included among the three? The get kireach. Hasam vlad mamza hacha vlad kasha. Over there, if you use it, if she would get married with a get kireach, the child will be a mamza. In other words, the second marriage, not only it's not a good get, it's not good to the extent that the child will be a mamza. Mashenkin over here in our Mishnah, the child would be what? Would be okay. Hanichel Rab Meya, that's very good according to Rab Meya, the child's a mamza. El Rabbanon Mayikal Meimar, like the Rabbanon, the child, if you get kireach is given, the child is not a mamzer. So what's the difference between here and there? In other words, you should go ahead and include get kireach, not just these three. Okay, so we'll give the same answer you wanted to give by what? By get yashan. Over here, you have to leave. Over there, you don't have to leave. Says the Gemara, Adrabah. Hassan, you have to go out here, you don't have to go out. This is a little reverse. So therefore, why like that mandiyama? Why isn't get kireach included as number 4? Says Gemara. Okay, says the Gemara. We're not speaking about a get makush. We're speaking about a regular get. We're speaking about a regular get. Okay. One of the Gitin we said you're supposed to write the get and date it from the zman of the malchus that's in power. So you're in Babel and you're supposed to go ahead and at the time it was Paras and you said Yavan or Malchus Shein Oigenis, which was the Romans. So what about that get? Why didn't that get make the top 3 list over here? Over there you have to leave. Over here you don't have to give. Same kasha. But it has the same halacha, so include a get that was written the Shem Malchus as what as one of the 4. It says, well, let's skip Mukila Kedreb Meya. Right? Here was that like Reb Meya, V'hasam Avad Mamza, V'hacha Vlad Kasha. Was that side over there like Reb Meya, that might be you're supposed to go ahead and date it based upon the Malchus that's in power, and we'll say the Vlad is a Mamzer, and over here it's a Vlad Kasha. In other words, we can avoid why we didn't include that. Okay, now, so we avoided get Yashan because why? Because lechatchila you can get married. We avoided get kireach because we're not speaking makusher, and we avoided get malchus because over there it's like Rameya that the child's a mamzer, and over here the 3 you won't be a mamzer. Now, if you look clear at the Mishnah, we gave numbers. When the Brisa gives when the Mishnah gives numbers, you're always going to ask, what does that number come to exclude? What is that number coming to exclude? In other words, what could have I thought would be in there that I'm coming to exclude? And we have 2 numbers in the Mishnah. The first one is Shleisha Gitin Pesulin. That's the first one. And then the second one is a repetition. So what are the numbers Shleisha? Minyana the Reish Lamute Mai, Minyana the Seif Lamute Mai, Minyana the Reish Lamute Hadamaran. The Minyana the Reish, the ones we mentioned, right? The Malchus, the case of the Malchus, right? The case of Kireach, not the case of Yashan, because Yashan was lechatchila, but the other ones, the Kireach and of what? And of Malchus. Minyana the Seif Lamute the Seifa. Now, what's the Seifa? Hari Elu, these 3 are what? These 3 are included. These 3 are, and the Vlad is kosher. These 3 are possible, but the Vlad is kosher. Muti haditanya. Maybe get Medina Sayam. We know with the opening line in Masechta, you bring a get, you have to say B'fani Nichtam, B'fani Nechtam. You might remember a Tosfos that said, since we're worried about cutting up words, we say B'chol Makam, you have to say B'fani Nechtam, B'fani Nechtam, even no matter where you bring it from. It was the bottom Tosfos, the bottom line, in the name of Rabbeinu Tam. I mentioned it at the time that we should remember it, and Baruch Hashem I do. Of course, I don't remember what daf it's on, but I do remember that. I remember exactly where it was. It was the bottom line of a Tosfos. Okay, so any get, you have to say B'fani Nechtam, B'fani Nechtam. Okay, says the Gemara, so if you don't say B'fani Nechtam, B'fani Nechtam, you say Vlad Mamzer. So it comes to exclude that case, guys. Our 3, right? These 3 are puzzle, but the get is what? The get is the get, the child from the second marriage is kasha, It comes to exclude the case of what? Of if you bring a get and you give the get and you don't say b'fani nechtam, like Reb Meir, the child's a mamza. We're excluding that Reb Meir. Kate said, "Yes, like the chacham. What should you do? You let a man take it back. You then let the shliach take it back and give it back. Okay. Oh, by the way, on today's, if you watch that thing, they didn't rip up the get. They didn't speak of ripping up the get, right? Again, Heshi gave me this morning something that I sent out. If you had a chance to watch it, you could watch it. It's broken up into different parts. So you don't have to. The whole thing's about a half hour. You don't have to watch it. You can watch it in parts. So at the end, the last thing, the giving of the get, they didn't mention they didn't rip up the get, which I thought they did. I thought they ripped up every get. I'm not sure. Okay. Anyway, they did. They went up to the point. He was the guy. The guy was playing the role of a woman. He stuck a hand out and said, "I'm the Isha," and so we weren't going to have an Isha on, But I'm saying, this is one of the times that you agree, right? Even though you're writing every week to the FJJ about women. Okay. Anyway, says the like Kasav Savyadai Vainul Avedim. Okay, so one of the Gitin was it was written by his hand, Vainul Avedim. Now again, what's the problem with this? It's problematic. Who is it? Light Rebbe Laza, I should not care who wrote it. Because all I care about is the Masira. And Light Rebbe Meir, it shouldn't make a difference who wrote it. It shouldn't be good because you have no Eidim. You guys hear the problem. Again, one of the hallmarks of Masechta is Eidim Masira Karti Rebbe Lazar or Eidim Chasima Karti Rebbe Meir. So what exactly is going on over here? So we saw Taisus. Taisus wants to say that Reb Meir would agree that Ksav Yodoi, his Ksav, is equal to what? To Eidim. Okay, so he wants to say it's Reb Meir. Okay, Amar Rav, Ksav Yodoi Shaninai. Rav says the words Ksav Yodoi. Hey, which case is he going on? Now we have three cases, right? We have three cases. The first one Ksav is his Ksav no Eidim. Second one Yesh Eidim no Zman. Third one Zman and no Eid Echad. Ilema Reisha, going back on the first case, that it's his Ksav Pshita, Ksav Yodoi Ketani. What's Rav adding? It says because of Ksav Yodoi. So Rav says Ksav Yodoi. What's he adding that the Tana didn't say? So obviously it can't be going case number one. Velam Siyasa, it must be going on case number two, which is what you have. What case number two? You have Eidim. You don't have Zman. How Yeshul of Eidim, right? You have Yeshul. You have Eidim. So what do you mean because of Ksav Yodoi, guys? You don't need Ksav Yodoi once you have Eidim. In other words, Loi Reb Meir, once you have Eidim, so what do you need Ksav Yodai for? So I have a problem. It can't be going on case number one because that was stated, case number one, Ksav Yodai. It can't be going on case number two because I don't need Ksav Yodai. Again, what is Ksav Yodai? Ksav Yodai shafts and Eidis. I agree that I wrote the get. If you have Eidim, then Ksav Yodai you don't need. So Rav couldn't have said it on case number two, which was a case of no Eidim. Which was a case of Eidim, yes Eidim, and no Zman. What's the last case? Yes, man, Eid Echad. Good. So now, it's going on the last case. Again, last case, Zman, one Eid. Yesh ba Zman, vein ba Ela Echad. Yesh ba Zman, you only have one Eid. Amid base. V'dafka Ksav Yodoi ve'Eid. Ava Ksav Seifa ve'Eid loy. Okay, we're going to see a Mishnah. We saw this earlier on Daf Samich Vav. We're going to see it later on Pei Zayin. When it says ksav, does it mean chasam or does it mean kasav? It says ksav. It says does it mean kasav or does it mean v'chasam? So Rav's of the opinion that you need ksav, right? But let's see Rashi. The daf ksav yodai ve'eid. Who the amrin of Vlad kosher? There the Vlad will be kosher. The Chitin Hamay Reisha Shamin. You heard that from the Reisha. That feel a bloishim eid havlad kasha, just ksav yadai. You'll have seifa have amina heichad the ikka eid echad in ksav yadai tinasi lechatchila. Okay, he's asking a kasha like this, guys. Here's the kasha. If I have ksav yadai and I have one aid, will be mitzvah of him and the aid. Will be mitzvah of him and the aid together, and you'll have two aidim. So you have a very kosher get. You have a zman and you have aidim. Aid is only one aid echad. Will be mitzarif him, the Baal, with the Eid Echad. So what's the Chiddush over here? What's Ravi Mechadish? if the first case it says ksav yada and there's no eidim at all, so it's good. So certainly it's good if you have a real aid over there. So the Gemara is saying no. Without case number 3, I would think that afilu chatchila you'd be able to get married. In other words, they're all b'di'evet, right? I would say if you have ksav and eight echad, if you didn't tell me that, I'd say afilu chatchila. So therefore, you tell me that's b'di'evet. Okay, so that's it. Shmuel, what is Shmuel? Ksav soifa ve'eid loy. If you have ksav soifa ve'eid, right, then you would not be able to marry. In other words, because then you would have only the soifer, and you'd have the only one aid, and you wouldn't be able to get married. And Shmuel says, afilu ksav soifa ve'eid. Even ksav soifa ve'eid, you would be able to get married. Okay, now this is predicated on a machloikis on the Mishnah Vaita, right? What's the Mishnah Vaita? Here you need Rashi to fill in the blanks. Okay, let's see Rashi. V'rav amalacha mi domi hasam kosher lechatchila mashma. Over there where it says ksav soifer ve'eid, it's kosher lechatchila. The hasam chasam soifer ima eid shaninu. Don't write ksav soifer. Right, chasam soifer. So what does chasam soifer mean? That the soifer is an aid with the other aid. So this is a kosher get. It's written lishma, it's got his man, and you have to aid him. So dafka there, where we learn chasam, but over here where it would be kisav soifer, then it would not be a good get. Therefore, it has to be kisav yadai. Kidemitaris le Rav Yirmiyah come on. Ushmuel lesle the Rav Yirmiyah, says Rashi. Shmuel does not hold the Rav Yirmiyah. El ksav soifer v'loy chasam, and therefore it's ksav. It's kasha, even without even just one aid. Behind the time the kasha lechatchila b'safra the mufak. We'll see in a second. Okay, guys, let me be a little more clearer. The way Rav and Shmuel learned pshat in the Gemara later on, when it says. Look at Pei Zion on the base. Ten lines in the bottom. Kisav Sefer v'Eid kosher. If you have a get that's written by a Sefer and an aid, it's kosher. That's, guys, this is the chatchila, right? Kosher means the chatchila. When it says ksav soifer, we have machloikis. Rabbi Yirmiyah says it doesn't mean ksav; it means v'chasam soifer. V'chasam soifer. So therefore, Rav says by us, it has to be ksav yadai, because ksav soifer would be puzzle. Because ksav over there does not mean ksav. Ksav over there means chasam. Shmuel, however, learns over there kisav soifer. So if Shmuel learns over there ksav soifer, he turns over here says ksav soifer, right? Or now. So let's go through it now. Let's go through the Gemara with that in mind. Ushmuel Omar afilu 2 lines from the top, back by us. Afilu ksav soifer ve'ei will be kasha. Shashaninon ksav soifer ve'ei kasha, because we're going to learn later on. The Rav mi dami. How can you compare the two? Kasam over there tinasi lechatchila, like we said, it's kasha. You know why it's kasha? Because it's chasam sofer. Hacha di'evet. Over here, it's only di'evet. Ushmuel like kasha. Ha b'safra the muvik. Ha b'safra the loy muvik. Over there, it's speaking about a sofer that's an expert. He's a baki b'teres Gitin, and he wouldn't have written the get unless he heard directly from the Baal. So therefore, we trust a sofer muvik as an aid that lechatchila can get married. Over here, why is it b'di'evet? It's the exact same case. Guys, ask yourself a question. Loit Shmuel, it's the exact same case. Ksav soifer over here, ksav soifer over there. Eid echad over here, eid echad over there. Why over here is it b'di'evet? Over there is lechatchila. Guys, right? Yeah. What's the answer? Over there, it's speaking about a soifer muvik who wouldn't have written the get unless he heard directly from the what? From the Baal, and therefore he's an aid. Mashenkin over here, it's a regular soifer that wrote, and therefore you're lacking an aid, and therefore what? It's only b'di'evet. Rabbi Yochanan. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan. Now Rabbi Yochanan is going to agree with Rav. Look at Rashi. He has v'chein Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So do I left out a word. V'chein Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Kirav the Amar ksav yada sheninu av ksav soifer of vlad mamsa. If it's ksav soifer, the vlad will be a mamsa. Amar Rabbi Elazar. Hari yeshel eidim right? It says on it there's no Rebbe Elazar is of the opinion that it's going on case number 2, that is Adam and what and Zman. Guys, so guys, let's go. Guys, figure it out. Where's Rav saying his din? Eye contact, guys. 3 cases. First case, we're good. Rav said, second case, third case. Second case, we said, why do I need Ksav Yodai? I got 2 Adam. So obviously, I don't need Ksav Yodai. No difference, Ksav Yodai, Ksav Seifa. So Rav was saying, on the last case, correct? On the last case where it says Ksav Yodai Veid Echad, it's got to be what? It has to be Ksav Yodai, not what? Not Ksav of the Seifer. Shmuel says it could even be Ksav of the Seifer that b'diavad you'll be able to get married. Okay? So now, Rebbe Elazar comes along and says, yeah, but you have Adam. So clearly Rebbe Elazar thought Rav was saying his din on case number 2. So right, jump in, because it says the Gemara. So Amalei Rebbe Elazar, Hariyesh Lav Adam. Guys, now, if I have Adam, so I don't care who wrote the get. I don't need Ksav Yodai. It could be Ksav Seifer once I have Adam. There's the Gemara. Amalei Aseifa Zimna. Aseifa. He was saying it on the Seifa. He wasn't saying it on what? On the Mitziyasa. And the Seifa, you only have 1 aid. Okay. Sindim Amrav Teitze. Sometimes Rav would say on the 3 cases of the Mishnah, sometimes he would say, guys, we just had this, right? The Mishnah said, you can get married. No. You should get married, but if you do, the child from the second marriage, right, is a kosher. Do you have to leave or not? Do you have to leave the second marriage or not? So, and we said in the Gemara, in the dialogue, you're going to meet these are the mandiorim that say you have to leave the second marriage, right? So now, zimnim, sometimes Amarav Teitze, in those 3 cases that we mentioned, that Teitze, you'll have to leave. Zimnim Amarav Leiseitze, and sometimes Rav said Leiseitze. HaKeitzad, Yeshla Bonim, if you have Bonim from the second marriage, Leiseitze, because you'll go ahead and be Moitzi Laz on the children, and in fact, they're not Mamzerim, they're Ksherim. If you have no children, then Teitze, because we don't want you going ahead and getting married with a get. That's a bit the evidence get. How we doing, guys? Okay, let's just have a quick recap, okay? So we saw a Mishnah, we saw 3 cases. We saw that you have a get that has, it's written in his own hands, the first case that it's written in his own hand and there's no Adam. Second case, there's Adam, there's no Zman. Third case, there's Zman, there's only Eid Echad. On the third case, we have Machlokes whether it's Daf Ksav Yodai or Ksav Seifer. Like Rav is Daf Ksav Yodai. Ksav Seifer would be, the child would be Mamzerim. Like Shmuel, Ksav Seifer would not be Mamzerim, it'd be the Ebed, because Ksav Seifer is okay. And that Ksav Seifer, Ksav Yodai is predicated on the understanding the Mishnah Pei Zayin on the base. Okay? Whether you have to leave or not, Rav would say, depending upon you have children from the second marriage. If you have children from the second marriage, you don't leave because you don't even might see laz on the children. If, however, you don't have children from the second marriage, then leave. Why? Because it's really not a good get. Midrabanan, it's possible. Masav Mazucha Bartovia for Kulan. Okay, guys, let's go back to Yavamis, the first mission in Yavamis. We all know it. We quote it all the time. Here we go. Right, guys. Man marries his niece. I always go case to number 1. A man marries his niece. Yeah, he marries his niece. And then the man dies, so the niece, who's the daughter of his brother, is going to be Yibam. If there's another tzara, that she goes free, because there's no zika of the daughter to him, and therefore the tzara, that's tzara's erva, she's going to go free without chalitza and without Yibam. What about if you're not sure about the kedushin, whether it was kedushin in the first place or not? Says the Gemara. The kulan shahayu ben safik kedushin or safik erishin. There's a suffix whether they were still married or they were ever married. Then harielu chotzav le'misyabamais. So the tsaras erva, again, the shaila was she the tsara of an erva or just a regular woman, regular tsara? That's the kasha. So why? Because we're misupik in the kedushin of the niece in these days, right? Maybe they threw money suffix karavla, and then the guy dies. So you don't know if they were ever married. In that case, you go ahead go ahead and be varsafi. Go ahead and give chalitza. You can't do yibum because maybe she was married. You can't do let her go free. Maybe they weren't married, so you do chalitza. Okay. So what's the case of suffix and suffix gerushin as well? Says the Gemara. Case of suffix kedushin. Zorak la kedushin suffix karvla close to the who zeu suffix kedushin. Safik Gerushin, it's funny, you don't say Safik Karla. Kasav Ksav Yadai, Vein Love Adam. That first case. You wrote Ksav Yadai, Vein Love Adam. Yesh Love Adam, Vein Basman. Yesh Basman, Vein Mayela Eid Echad, Harizes Safik Gerushin, right? If you use this get. The Amrit Loy Seitse, and if you're going to say they stay together, Sarasa Asil Liyavume. You may come to say that what? You're going to do, you're Sarasa Asil Liyavume. You may come to go ahead what? And do Yibum on the tzara. Look at Rashi. If you're going to say that she get married, she doesn't go free. So guys, watch. What's our case? Let's go through our case. Our case was you have this woman who was given a get. She's a niece to this fellow. She was given a get, one of the three Gitin, one of these three Gitin, she was given it. Consequently, her husband died. And there's a tzara. So if you're going to tell me loy seitze from the second marriage, that means the get was a good get. If the get was a good get, that means that tzara was a full-fledged yavama, because you didn't have the zika of an erva stopping it from taking place. So how can you tell me loy seitze if what it's going to affect yibum? Now the answer is obvious. So go ahead and go ahead and do yibum. Since this get is loy seitze, it's only the rabbanon, right? Go ahead, says the Gemara. So Fred Gemara kasha v'yamar loy seitze to the second husband. Sarasa asi livume, says the Gemara. Tisyabein ve'mekachkum do yibum. We don't have to worry. Why? Chashash rabbanon he. The whole chashash is what is the chashash rabbanon. It's chashash rabbanon. This get, whether it's a good get or not, go ahead and get married. Go ahead and what and it's a good get. Really, it's a good get, guys. It's chashash rabbanon, so therefore you can do yibum. Levi amelolim loy seitze. You don't leave. You don't leave the second husband. Or the min chayfa hachiyam avuchin the oilam loiseitze. Now oilam you shouldn't leave. The kartzis sheba amir, and this kartzis, this flying creature that lives among the sheaves, aina paiselis b'meichatas. So as Gemara goes, talking about a digression. Hey, why not, guys? Outside, it's good. I love it. Outside, we know that the meichatas is something you can't work with it. In other words, for the paraduma to go ahead and to be matayar and work, you need to take the paraduma. You have to go ahead and burn it, have the ashes, and you have to mix it. Mayim chayim el keli. You have to mix it with water from mayim chayim, from a fountain, a river. You know, something that flows. If an animal would drink from it, if the animal goes ahead and puts back into it, then he took the mechatis in his mouth and put it back in. It's no good. Okay. So, however, if the animal takes it and drinks and doesn't put anything back, it's still good. So it seems that Rav Huna but Min Haifa testified about what? About this creature, that if it did drink from the mechatas, you would be able to still use it. Okay. So the oilam, let's say you don't leave the second marriage, but karitza sheba amir ena paiselis mechatas. My cart says, what is this? Rabbi, the davsa, it's a large fly, the beni kifi that lives among the keep and lives among the piles, the sheaves. Master Rav Daniel about Rav Katina. Kol oifis paislim mechatas. All birds, if they drink from the mechatas, would passel it, right? Chutz min ayoina, with the exception of the dove. If they shomet tzetzes, of course, it sucks in, but does not give out. So therefore, it's not going ahead, putting it in its mouth and putting it back in. I guess it's like then you'd be using the mechatas. Then Isa, and if you're telling me that this kartza shaba amir has the same ability as a yona, so why isn't it mentioned, right? V'misa nisni chutz mi yona v'kartzis. Says no like psika blade, because it's not a karpan statement. It depends on the age and the size of the kartzis. The gedoyla loy pasla, it's the gedoyla kartzis that does not go ahead and passel. However, katana, a small one, would passel. Yad kama, how long must it be to be considered a katana? Some Rav Yomi, Rav Yitim, Rav Ami, ad kazayas. the share of kazayas. So if the size of this creature is a kazayas, then it's considered a gedola. Less than a kazayas, it's a katana and tremendous nafkamin in halacha regarding meichatas. Okay, so we have Rav saying loiseitze when if you would have children. If you didn't have children, say, and we have a bunch of people then saying that afilu without children, say you would not leave. You're worried about Yavama, that's like Shasha Ba'alma, let it get Yibum, because it really is a good get. Guys, we're good? Okay. Amar Rav Yomi Vitim Rav Elazar Omer Afal P. Okay, let's go back to who's the Rav Elazar? Right, Rav Elazar is Edi Chasim Karti. Rav Elazar Omer Afal P Shein Love Edim El Shenaslim Fnei Edim Kasha. The Goyim Nechasim Shubadim, She'ena Edim Chaysim Al Shtar, Aget Al Tikkun Olam. Okay, that's the famous statement. Okay, we have a very, very easy Gemara, as we're going to see, very repetitious. It's a Kenny and a Kenji special. Kenji special. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, Halacha Kreb Elazar Begitin, that Edim is Sira Karti and not Edim Chasima. I do not need Edim on a get. Ki Amisa Kamei de Shmuel, right? Now notice, Ki Amisa Kamei de Shmuel, when I said this over Lacha Shmuel, Ama Af B'Shtares. Not only is the halacha like Rabbi Elazar by Gitin, but I feel Shar Shtares, you only need a Mesira for Shtar Mechiris Halva. Rav Sava B'Shtares Loi, Dafka, the halacha like Rabbi Elazar by Gitin, but not by Shtares. So I read the Gemara, Hakatani, V'Gavim Nechasim Meshubadim. You can collect from property for liens, mashma that what, even a Shtar Milva would be, you would be able to collect Edi Mesira, mashma Shtares, yes. So Rav can't argue on a Mishnah. Rabbi Elazar Tarti Rabbi Elazar said two dinim. Amar. The Rav Sava Kavasi B'Chada V'Polag B'Chada. He agrees by get and he disagrees by shtar. I guess you have to see Rav Tanu who Polag. Rav is a Tanu who can argue. B'Chinam Rav Yaakov Baridiam Rav Yeshua Ben Levi Allah Rabbi Elazar Begitin. Allah like Rabbi Elazar Begitin. Rabbi Yana Yamar Afilu Reach Haget Ein Ba. Not only is it not, he says the middle, he goes the opposite. He says not a good get. The Allah is not like Rabbi Elazar, guys. In other words, not only isn't the halacha like Rabbi Elazar, but if you use this get, she'd still be mutter to a kohen.
Nothing.
Right? Nothing. It's like nothing. I feel shmek fun get. There's no shmek fun get. Rabbi Yanai less later Rabbi Elazar, and Rabbi, right? You're telling Rabbi Yanai does not hold the Rabbi Elazar. Hachi kama. The Rabbanon, later Rabbanon who argue on Rabbi Elazar, I feel recha get ingba. In other words, he taka agrees with Rabbi Elazar, but the Chacham will argue. They would say in other words, there's different dargis, guys. So I spoke out in the Hakdama to the share. It's not a get at all to Charles and Mamzer. Then it's not a get, but it's still with Asa for the Kahuna, and then it's a good get. It's not a get, but it's a good get. But the Eved and the child would be kosher. Okay, so the Rabbanon, he's saying the Rabbanon would say it's on the second shlav. The first shlav, it's not even a shmek from get. Rabbi Yana Yama Filu Reach Haget Einba. Rabbi Yana listen. I feel like anybody. I'm Rabbi Yossi Rav Chanina. I'm Rav Shlakish. Halach Rabbi Elazar Begitin. Rabbi Yochanan I feel Reach Haget Einba like Rabbi Yana. Laim Rabbi Yochanan less like Rabbi Elazar. Hachi come like Rabbi Yana. The Rabbanon I feel Reach Haget Einba. Even the Chacham Reach Haget Einba. Shalchei Rav Abba Rasavul Mori Ba'amar. Boy mine me Rav Huna. Yes from Rav Huna. Halach Rabbi Elazar Begitin Ein Halacha. Adahachin again. Rav Huna was the Talmud Muvik of Rav. But he got the Rav Huna was nifta. Amalei Rabba Berei says the Rabba Berei Rav Huna. Hachi Amar Abba Mishmei. Don't take out the word Rav and put in Rav. Rav wasn't even alive. Hachi Amar Abba Mishmei the Rav. Allah Rabbi Elazar Begitin. Allah is like Rabbi Elazar Begitin. Rabbi Seinu Rabbi Kiyim B'Dava Rabbi Seinu who are experts in this matter. That's Rav Chama Baguria. Say Halacha Mishum Rabbeinu in the name of Rav. Amru Allah Rabbi Elazar Begitin. Dam Rav Chama Baguria Amar Rav Allah Rabbi Elazar Begitin. Ikudi Ami Chavereinu Abakim B'Dava Halacha. The Hamidi Rabbeinu Amar Halacha Rabbi Elazar Begitin. Dam Rav Kisna Amar Rav Chama Baguria Amar Rav Halacha Rabbi Elazar Begitin. The Chen Kiyosef Rav and Amar Rabbi Elazar Amar Rav Halacha Rabbi Elazar Begitin. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, I'm going to try for tomorrow morning. I'll try. We'll see. If not, I'll just watch the chat in the morning. I'll do my best to get it in the morning.
Not going to be before 9:30, right?
It won't be before 9:30. No.